Okay, so I got three things that I want to talk about. And they're going to be three separate videos because they have nothing to do with each other than God, the common denominator. So, the first thing I want to talk about is allowing things in your life that may seem like obstacles to other people for the sole purpose of keeping you humble. Okay? And I was just meditating on this because I got blessed this morning. Testimony. But it made me think back and remembering 4 or 5 years ago when I was first really waking up to the fact that I was lost. I was totally lost in physical reality, in just thinking about physical things and finding my identity in physical things. And in this time period, I had more money than any of my friends and I had it going on. I had a brand new big house, living all by myself, $40,000 maxed out, tricked out truck, and plenty of money in my pocket to do anything I wanted. Alright? And when I walked away from all that stuff for spiritual pursuit, to find myself, to find what is reality, to find who am I, what is the purpose of life, why am I here? And, well, the other problem was I was driving drunk all the time. Like, I was always driving with a drink in my hand and just getting in lots of problems, and I just knew I couldn't handle it anymore, so I wound up walking away from my vehicle. My vehicle was like $1,000 a month just for the vehicle and insurance. And I wound up walking away from all that stuff, walking away from everything. And I didn't have a vehicle for a while. I knew I couldn't handle that responsibility of driving because I kept saying I was going to stop doing things I was doing, and I couldn't. So I knew that the only way for me to stop is to totally remove that temptation from my life for a while. Once I had that out of my life, which was kind of hard because I was DJing, I was trying to do different things. I had to have people drive me around, pick up all my equipment. It's too hard. And eventually my dad or my brother or somebody reached out to me. They had an old beat up pickup truck and was like, hey, if you need something to drive, you can get this for $1,000 or whatever, $100 a month or something. And I was like, all right. And the ball joints in the front or whatever, totally shot, a lot of different little problems, but dents all in the door and squeak, every little bounce. And to my ego, which had been built up so much because of all that I had physically. Years earlier, when I was nobody, a drug addict living in the streets, I looked up to anybody who had stuff and envied them and thought, wow, what it must like to have that. Then once I became successful and had money to have whatever I want, I was on the other end of that power where other people were looking at me and what I had, and suddenly I had power over them because they envied me. And that whole vicious cycle of the physical world and trappings and physical things and want and desire and lust, all that stuff totally consumes us. And so for me, my ego being built up because of having this power over people and having things and finding my identity in those things, going through this painful process of letting that go and trying to disconnect from all these ideas, to now get in this old beat up 200,000 mile truck and bouncing around. It was a totally humbling experience, really, it was hard for me to deal with that. And it was like I was constantly having to push through because at the same time I was awakening though, and I was becoming aware of my ego and this other character that I created in my mind that was running me, that was living through me, controlling me and making decisions for me and putting thoughts in my mind. And so each time I would have those egotistical thoughts like, oh man, I wonder who's looking at me, or man, what are they thinking about me? I was becoming aware of my thoughts and realizing, wow, this is all lies here. I have to push through this. So eventually I welcomed this vehicle into my life as a constant way of being humbled. Because for me, it was a humbling thing to totally not have to care how people are looking at me, or to realize that is how people are looking at me, because the people who are still stuck in the material plane and in material existence, a lot of them will look at you and judge you based on what you have or what it looks like you have or don't have. Oh, look at that vehicle. That's a piece of crap. Oh man, this guy, what's he even doing driving that? This and that. And it wasn't that I was just catching my thoughts. It was that it's okay I have to welcome along those lost thoughts of everybody and allow them to think whatever they think about me, and for it to not matter to me what anybody else thinks of me, because who I am is not based on what anybody else thinks of me. Who I am is who I am. And that's what I come to know. I am. That is God. I am. And God lives inside of us. And becoming okay with whoever you are, whoever He created you to be, and it has nothing to do with what you have and all this. Needless to say, here's 4 years later, 5 years later, I'm still driving the same truck. And there's been many a times, I mean, I don't have to live in poverty like that anymore. I mean, I don't have to drive that truck. I have the means inside of me. I understand I'm a powerful person. I could put the words out there and a plan in my head and figure out a way. I guarantee to have a new vehicle or this or that. I don't need it. Okay. B, if I was to pursue getting a new vehicle, now I have to keep it clean. I have to keep insurance on it. I have to keep worrying about that nobody's going to hit it, that it's going to be safe, all these different things. So it's like, but I find that this truck I'm still driving after 5 years is up to 250,000 miles. Still squeaks, still got the same dents, all that. And I don't even think twice about it. I don't bat an eyelash about it. Because every time I come back from Honduras, it's there. It's a free vehicle. It's a blessing. It gets me from point A to point B where I gotta go, and it keeps me humble. That's the whole thing. Is I could remove this thing from my life if I want to. And maybe when the time is right, God will tell me, here's a blessing. You don't need that in your life. It's done the thing that it needed to do for you. But that's what I want to reach out to you guys and let you know, that sometimes when we think something is in our life, it's a detriment. Like, oh man, this car, I need to get a new car, or this and that. Don't just think about it from the physical perspective. Sometimes these things are building character in us. That thing humbled me, and it still keeps me humble to drive that, and not to just be driving in a big fancy Mercedes or driving, something that people are starting to look at you, because once you're in that, people are going to be looking at you different. They don't see you. They don't know who you are. They don't know I am. They only know the outside shell. They know what, and all the physical things connected to that shell. And people start sucking up to you and treating you different and all this kind of stuff because of what you have. It can be a very entrapping and alluring thing that you get yourself caught up in. So sometimes it's good to keep something humbling in your life for that purpose, to keep you humble, to teach you what it is. And so it's that truck has been such a part over the years of keeping me thinking on other more important things, on spiritual things, on who I am inside, on spiritual reality, on spiritual blessing, and not care about the physical things so much. And so just to testify, when you seek ye first the kingdom of God, which is spirit, and His righteousness, He will add all these things unto you. Don't worry about what you need physically and give God your leftovers. Give God everything you got and trust that He's going to give you everything that you need. So now here this morning, I got handed the keys to a new big 4-door Chevy truck. Was blessed. They filled it up with a full tank of gas. Handed me the keys to a new house for a 4-day weekend. Here, stay in our house. Here, use our truck. Here, take the gas. I got somebody else. I got a phone that somebody else pays for to be a donation, a sponsor to help MBK. All my needs are met. I don't own anything. I don't seek possessions, but I seek God, and God makes sure that I'm taken care of, that all my needs are met, and now over and above, I'm flowing in His favor and in His abundance. And I'm not telling you that if you seek God, somebody's going to come to you and hand you truck keys and house keys and all this, but your needs will be met, and that's what He promises. And that's so liberating, to take your worries off of how am I going to do this, or I want to do that, or we need this. Just worry about God. Just seek God with everything you got, and be humble. Allow things, keep some things in your life to keep you humble, and He'll take care of everything that you need.